We're going to cover a self-inflicted problem that has a very easy solution, and yet those in charge are blatantly against their own people and are making sure it can't happen. Toronto mayor threatens $78 million property tax rise to pay for the costs of sheltering migrants. Okay, how about this? And this is Nobel Prize worthy ideas I'm about to give you guys here, okay? You guys should all feel like very thankful that you get to hear this, and I'm risking a Nobel Prize by letting you guys know early. So how's this for an idea? If you can't afford to shelter migrants, don't shelter migrants. Turn them away. Nope, sorry, we don't have the money or the space for you here. Try someone else. Why is that so fucking hard? Just say no. But that's not what these Leafs are going to do. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow has threatened to raise property taxes for residents due to the shitty's $78 million or 107 million Canadian shortfall and from a surge in migrants. During a Monday news conference, the far-left Canadian politician revealed the shitty's reserve funds are exhausted. And this is what always happens. This is why a lot of communists believe that communism can actually work, because communism, like, it doesn't arise on its own. Communism is a literal cancer on a successful society. And so they usually have a lot of reserves built up by their predecessors to blow through before things get really bad. So while they're still blowing through their predecessors' reserves, it looks like the communism is working. But as the saying goes, eventually you run out of other people's money. And that's what's happening now in Toronto, apparently. They ran out of other people's money, and now, time for some wealth redistribution. We've been providing shelter to people who arrive in Toronto fleeing violence, war, and persecution, but now the federal government won't pay their bills for the service. Yeah. Isn't this funny? So we've been providing all this that someone else has been paying for. Yeah, we demand someone else pay for these people. That we're not going to do it, but someone else better. Don't you want to be a good person? And the shitty is shorter by 107 million. We can either stop sheltering refugee claimants, leave them on the street, which will make them homeless, or which will make homelessness worse, reversing the progress we made in reducing the number of encampments, or Torontonians will have to pay through it through their property taxes. Or how about this? How about you just turn them away and get them out of the city? Send them back where they came from. Why don't you do that? Deny them entry. Neither is fair, so the federal government must fulfill its responsibility, which is taking care of refugees and refugee claimants. Yeah, again, typical communist. Someone else needs to step up and pay for all of this. Someone else needs to take responsibility for this. Every time, man. When questioned how much Toronto would need to raise property taxes, Chow said it would have to be at least 2% in order to cover the costs. And it's not like it's going to be a one-time thing. More migrants are going to come next year, and they'll have to raise it by 2% again and again and again and again and again. She said the shitty plans to explore this change during its upcoming budget meeting. Despite her new move, Chow has not offered to lessen her salary or halt her costly trade missions. Oh, of course not. Like I said, they want someone else to foot the bill. They're never going to foot the bill themselves. She recently went on a trip to London and Dublin in July that cost taxpayers more than $32,000. Chow also attended the Toronto International Film Festival earlier this month. She makes around $225,000 a year, according to a current D-1 Ontario Sunshine list. And that's not even counting the lobbying that goes into her. The shitty council just received a $33,000 a year raise. Man, isn't it hilarious that these politicians are voting raises for themselves while all the rest of us are getting pay cuts? Oh, all the rest of us have to learn to live within our means and learn to live with pay cuts. These clowns, they'll just vote themselves a raise. Torontonians saw their taxes increase by 7% in current year -2, 9.5% in current year -1, and 6.9% last year. But isn't that so? 9.5% in 2024 and 6.9% last year. Unless there's since no, last year is mostly this year. Maybe that's how they're counting it. I guess. The proposed 2% tax raise is added to that. The increase could exceed 25%. This total does not include the regular property taxes homeowners are set to pay as part of Chow's current year +1 budget. Man, who would want to buy property in a country that does this? According to a new report by CTV News, staff are predicting an adverse year-end operating value of $105.4 million. The outcome mainly stems from low funding from the Interim Housing Assistance Program, a federal program that provides funding to cities that manage the financial impact of the influx of asylum seekers and the homeless population. Or you could just turn them away. Learn to say no. So Chow's response to the lack of funds enraged locals, especially conservatives. Liberals overwhelmed Toronto with fake asylum seekers, forcing property taxes up on Canadians starting to pay their mortgages. Well, isn't Toronto a pretty far left city? Most of them deserve it. They voted for this. We must fix the broken liberal immigration system. Another wrote, and here I thought maybe she was threatening to tax more to invest, like in a subway line, but no, blow it on welfare. And then you're going to have to keep doing this every year as more welfare sponges move in. As citizens should get a vote if it's a vote on it if it causes the taxes to go up. Yeah, you guys need a taxpayer bill of rights. Meanwhile, other users have said citizens should pay the property tax increase because they literally voted for this. Yeah, no sympathy. Toronto residents voted for this multiple times since current year -10. They should pay. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. This is what they wanted, isn't it? Woke Torontonians getting exactly what they voted for. I don't feel bad for you at all. Someone else chimed in. Chow previously managed to get money from the federal government to help with the migrants who were sleeping in the streets of Toronto in current year -2. The crisis sparked the opening of a new welcome center specifically for refugees located near Toronto Pearson International Airport. So the first thing anyone sees when they visit your city is basically the third world. That's that's a good first impression. While many agree her plea for money is not the answer, local organizations that focus on helping refugees agree with her. Well, but that's because they're going to be the ones that get this money. Like, they're not altruistic. Their jobs are on the line. If they get paid to help with refugees and the money dries up, that's a problem. So they need to keep it They need to keep it coming in, keep it flowing. Progress Toronto, a shitty civic group, held a protest Monday morning calling for the federal government to support the IAP and Canada Ontario housing benefit. They went on to say that the reduction in funding has created a recipe for disaster. No, what created the recipe for disaster is you guys creating a need to keep increasing funding in the first place. We call on all levels of the government to work together to ensure no one is left outdoors. Well, make them go back to their own country and stay indoors in their own home then. Canadian government must acknowledge its responsibility to shitties and take immediate action to address the growing crisis of homelessness. Yep. What they're basically saying is we need to redistribute the money from everyone else in the country to give to the shitties. Yeah, just textbook. Someone else needs to pay for this. Who's gonna take responsibility for my mistakes, guys? Whatever you subsidize, you get more of.